I'm very happy you're here, Sage, because today we are working on a weird creature combo deck. You are an expert at weird creature combo decks. Dark Saber in the chat too. What's up, buddy? Non-Frozen Dan. Indeed, I'm here. Good to see you. Good to see you, RJ. How you doing this morning? So, I've got this creature does not yet exist on Moxfield, but I've got it pinned right below me. I need to look at a picture of it though, because it's too small on my overlay and I actually can't see what it says right now. So let's see. It is called Magus Lucea Kane. I'm just noting now a 1/1 for 4, 1 in Teamer. Has the ability Spiritual Leader at the beginning of combat. On your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and Psychic Stimulus. You can tap it to add 2 colorless when you next cast a spell with X in its mana cost, or activate an ability of X in its activation cost this turn. Copy that spell or ability. You may choose new targets. So, a very powerful Court of Calling creature combo. Cryptic Trilobite looking nice right now. Cryptic Trilobite is that thing that Godo uses, right? That weird little colorless creature. I can't remember what it does though. I need to look it up. That was going to be my first question though, is that I can't necessarily think of any any really potent X mana abilities or X activated abilities. You add a counter. Okay, you can remove counters. Okay. That's pretty interesting, actually. I kind of like that. Does Marith use it? That's interesting. So yeah, we're in Teamer here. I think the obvious payoffs that I was thinking of were Kiki Jiki combos. I'm trying to think of the most compact ones are probably Kiki plus Hyrax Tower Scout, because well, actually no. Well, all right. So here are my thoughts. We've got Hyrax Tower Scout. A 3-mana Human Scout enters the battlefield, untaps the target permanent. The other options that we have at 3 CMC, at least in Teamer, are Pestermite and Deceiver Exarch. So the thing about Deceiver Exarch and Pestermite is that they're actually pretty defensible cards. Flash Flying, when Pestermite enters the battlefield, tap or untap target permanent. Deceiver Exarch, flash 1/4. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you can untap target permanent you control or tap target permanent an opponent controls. So, the things that I like about Pestermite and Deceiver Exarch is that they're great cards. The things that I don't like about them is that they're blue and they're susceptible to REBs, which are not super common, at least in multicolor piles anymore. People are sort of moving off of REB, as far as I can tell by looking at lots of deck lists all the time. But REB is obviously going to be omnipresent in 2 or mono red color decks. So the Pestermite and the Deceiver Exarch open us up to that sort of that more dangerous access, where the Hyrax Tower Scout is a little bit less useful. TBH. Untap target creature can work on our commander. Yes, yeah. So Finale, Court of Calling, Green Sun Zenith is another one that we can do if we have specifically green creatures that we can get it. Yeah, exactly. If we do, I know Ashaya and Quirion Ranger. Is that a 2-card combo? I don't remember how this works. Ashaya makes all of your creatures into forests. Okay, so yeah, if we had something that we were untapping, we could get Ashaya and Quirion Ranger to go infinite on mana. But that is not necessarily a game ender for us. Whir of Invention. I wasn't thinking about Whir of Invention. That's really interesting. We'll have to think of this could be a Birthing Pod deck quite easily, I think. So Whir of Invention can be pretty hot. Concording Crossroads or Mass Hysteria? Oh, because you can tap both of them for mana. Is that what you're saying? Reshape. Reshape is another one for artifacts, so okay. So that's also kind of interesting. Okay. Okay. So there's some interesting... What are the... I guess Cloudstone Curio is a thing that we could be finding with Reshape or War of Invention. Although I guess we're pretty easily solving the question of how do we make infinite mana, but we're not easily solving the question of what do we put that into. But I don't know, Cloudstone Curio is just the first thing I thought of, so definitely feel free to shout out more shit. Yeah, Infinite Storm, and you get... I guess, are you even on mana at that point? No, you're gaining 1 green mana every time in that exchange. So if we had, like, Grape Shot as an outlet, so we've got a couple of different, like, yeah, easily Grape Shotable things. I guess I'm not completely sold on Ashaya Quirion Ranger, just in that we don't have an infinite mana outlet in the command zone, but that's definitely something to keep in mind, because we are going to want to run Green Sun Zenith regardless, so if we can make Green Sun into a win con, that is very much preferable. So we got Green Sun, Finale of Devastation, Court of Calling. Not a card I usually am super hot on, but in 3 colors I suppose it's easier, and it being a really good instant speed win con is also great. Terror of the Peaks, yeah. But that's adding like another piece to this combo where like what I really want to be doing is using not Intet the Dreamer, whatever our fucking commander is called, using Magus to cast one of these things and immediately win the game and not have that be dependent upon anything else. So in that vein of thought, like I'm not completely sold on like Reshape and War of Invention yet, but I think they're definitely like good things to keep in mind. Got to think of more X spells too. There's got to be more. Like I immediately thought of Pull from Tomorrow, which is like a pretty fine-ish spell for some card advantage, but not quite sure if that's how this deck wants to play. But there's a million different... Wow, Fable of the Mirrorbreaker is a $12 card. That is very funny. Legacy is a wild time. So Kiki Jiki we definitely want. We've discussed this already. Blue Sun. Yeah, Blue Sun is definitely... Blue Sun being triple blue, I think I'd be closer on the pull. Duplicate Chalice of the Void is pretty funny. Is that how it works? I gotta look at the commander again. What X you copy that spell? Yeah, whenever you cast a spell. So we could very easily drop 2 chalices on 1. That is very funny. I'm not super... I don't think I'm super into adding that, because I'm betting we're going to have a lot of 1-drops that we're going to want to cast, including Allosaurus Shepherd. Although, Allosaurus Shepherd is uncounterable and does get through Chalice of the Void, so that's not even a knock against it, I guess. I think that we like easily want to be running like Neoform and the other one there. What's the green one? Not Finale of Devastation, Eldritch Evolution. I think we easily want to be running both of those to like be able to jump between our different creatures that we're gonna have. I guess a good place to start would be maybe... Well, like I said, I definitely want Allosaurus Shepherd in here. Let's put the Eldritch in the Neoform. But I'm thinking of like tutor creatures, thinking like Imperial Seal and Spellseeker. Like Spellseeker being able to go and pick up Grape Shot is a much more palatable idea for going with like the Ashaya Quirion Ranger thing. So, Imperial Recruiter. Spell Seeker. Definitely both things that I want in here. So, now that I'm thinking about Cloudstone Curio again, because of the Spell Seeker, what is the fella that ETBs and you get to search up an artifact and you can like entomb your Cloudstone Curio? Goblin Engineer or Goblin something else, I can't remember. It's one of those things. I just searched Goblin. That's not going to help. How about Goblin Engineer? That's the one? Did I just pick it right off the bat? I think so. ETBs, you may search your library for an artifact card, put it into your graveyard, and then shuffle your library. And then you can sacrifice an artifact, return target artifact card with CMC 3 or less. Okay, so the stipulation is that you can only recur a thing with CMC 3 or less, but obviously that works for Cloudstone Curio, so that's something to keep in mind. Of course, Dockside Extortionist is going to be part of the equation here. So, what are some of the other artifacts that we might potentially tutor with these War of Invention reshape things? Like, we need to keep filling out the 99, but I could pretty easily believe that like Birthing Pod would be fine in this deck, especially like we could add Corridor Monitor, and maybe if we added Corridor Monitor, we might be able to jump from anywhere in the line up to Kiki Jiki, but I maybe that's not true outside of white, because we don't have Felidar Guardian. Although at 4, I guess we could get Displacer Kitten, and Displacer Kitten can potentially untap a Birthing Pod. We wouldn't be able to recur like our Deceiver Exarch or Pestermite though. So okay, so that's a hitch in that plan. I'm not sure that would specifically work. I'll just throw Birthing Pod in though, just because I do love Birthing Pod. Let's pop the Cloudstone Curio in there. What are some more X spells? There's gotta be... I guess let's take a peek at, like, some Scryfall. Let's see, colors. Most of these colors. And... is... X? Okay. Okay. Let's take a peek. That's... I don't think that's what I wanted to do. Uncage the Menagerie is another X-cost tutor that can get you a... Oh, Uncage is interesting, because if we're getting 2 of them... Oh, wait, this isn't the one that I was thinking of. For up to X, creature cards with different names that each have CMC X, and reveal them. So it gets all the same CMC. So we could get, like, that could get us Imperial Recruiter and Hyrex Tower Scout, and then the Recruiter goes and gets Kiki Jiki. Although that does still cost an additional 5 mana on top of... Well, no, we get 2 of them, right? So if we got 2 of them... If we got 2 of them, we could get... I don't know, like... Also... I guess also, like, Deceiver Exarch and Pestermite, and those could help us cast the Kiki Jiki, potentially. So, one of them untaps the Commander, and that's 2 mana. And then one of them untaps, like, a land or something, and that's, like, one of the red. So, it would potentially only cost us 2 red on top of the Uncage. That's interesting. What is the one that I'm thinking of for maybe like Strixhaven, where you search up a bunch of shit with different CMCs and put them all onto the battle? No, your opponent like chooses them or something. I can't remember what it is. If anyone in the chat happens to know what I'm talking about, please go ahead and shout it out. I did not do this Scryfall like accurately. Is it including these colors? Is that what I need to do? No cards found. Oh, with this exact mana cost, that's why. I don't want things with that exact mana cost. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how to search that, I guess. Maybe in the text box will help. No. Ecological Appreciation. That is the card that I'm thinking of. I'm pretty sure that is an X-Spell. So yeah, green and 2, search your library and graveyard for up to 4 creature cards with different names that each have mana value X or less, and reveal them. Opponent chooses 2 of them. Shuffle the chosen cards into your library and put the rest on the bottom. So we cast 2 ecologicals for 3, and I guess that gets us pretty much... Well, since it's X or less, that means we could, like, choose Dockside as one of them, but an opponent chooses 2 of the cards. No, I think that's probably just too situational to work out super duper well. Surreal, what is up? We do not currently have an intuition pile. Currently just thinking about different X spells in these colors, looking at Ecological Appreciation. That's not working, though. I'm interested in Teamer intuition pile, though. What is it? Do we have one? Is there one? Oh, I appreciate you, Surreal. You're a sweetie. But yeah, a fellow creature comboer here in the chat. Surreal, please let me know if you have any really spicy includes. So far, what we're working with is, like, obviously Kiki combo to some degree and trying to figure out what the best lines for it. I'm sort of leaning towards, like, Deceiver, Exarch, and Pestermite being favorable over Hyrax Tower Scout, but I don't know. I guess I'm maybe not opposed to running all 3, but we're, like, I don't know. We're pretty early into this so far. So obviously we got our payoffs in Finale, Court of Calling. Green Sun Zenith can get us Quirion Ranger and a Shaya to go infinite with a creature, maybe. Probably Ewit related. That makes sense. I think Eternal Witness is probably a banger in here regardless. And we do have... I feel like this is a very solid Displacer Kitten deck. Like, there's a lot of different ETBs that are very good to hit with either Kiki or Displacer. Well, some other things that we're gonna need. Definitely, like, forms of ramp. Put in just, like, basic ramp package. Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, Mox Diamond, Chromox. Feel like we're gonna want a Jeweled Lotus for this deck. It's like, it's awkward because our commander is 1 and triple pip. It's the same-ish as Intuition Pile usually, but replaces 7s with Dryad's Revival. Okay, so the Intuition Pile is Dryad's Revival. Gotta look that one up. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand, flashback of 4. Isn't there a cheaper one in green than that? Or are they all shuffle? Maybe I'm thinking of the ones that shuffle. So you get, what, Breach, LED, and this card? Not with flashback. Okay. Okay, so instead of like you spending the 5 mana on 7's rec to get back LED and Breach, this time you're just doing it. This time you're just getting back the LED, or the Breach rather. So it does require us to have that extra 3 in the graveyard, but that's pretty sweet. I'm not mad at that. Intuition, possibly also very helpful with our creature piles. Because like if we did run like even just 2 of the Pestermite effects, we can do like Pestermite, Deceiver, and Eternal Witness. I think I do really like Intuition for this deck. We have a lot of cards that all do the same-ish thing. Ace, I would like to make a Poggers build. I think making a build that is Poggers would be very cool. I'm not quite sure, like, I don't know, I'm not quite sure how I feel about the direction that I want to go with it yet, though. This seems like it would be a very, like, good, not a good Carpet of Flowers deck. That's not like a deck that would benefit a lot from having a Carpet of Flowers in it. No, Mystic Remora is the card I'm trying to type. A lot of Phillies use special. So if we do that Intuition pile, it does necessitate that we're running both Dryad's Revival and Brain Freeze, which honestly Brain Freeze is the only super dead card. I'm not opposed to having a regrowth effect like in the 99. Like Brain Freeze is the one that like really doesn't do anything for us because we don't care about our graveyard at all and shit like that, but I don't know. It pictures the force effect, so I'm not mad at that. It seems like these days people are pretty not hot on Bloom Tender. I'm wondering if Bloom Tender is good enough for this deck with like the fact that it's so hungry for pips, the fact that we can untap it with both Pestermite and Deceiver Exarch, or the Quarian Ranger Ashaya thing. I'm not sure if that's enough, but I don't know. Something to think about. We don't get Noble Hierarch, which kind of sucks. We don't get any good like 3-mana dorks for this deck. I'm sure there is some sort of Teamer dork, but I bet it costs like 2 mana at least. Teamer Hulk stuff with exploit creatures? You gotta explain that to me. I've never heard of such a thing. We're talking like Sidisi's Faithful, like to sack a Hulk. What do we? And then we go and get what creatures? So I'll just bring one up here to show to the class. Sidisi's Faithful is the first one that I thought of in these colors. Exploit, when an exploit creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature, and when you exploit a creature, it does an additional effect. So we could I don't know. I'm not sure what the clean Hulk line is that just wins. With body double, at the point that we're going on body double, I feel less into it, because that's a lot of cards to be running. I'm already pretty iffy on Hulk. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Hulk might be too much. Oh yeah, I've got the Manioc line right outside my apartment, so. Do I want a Stone Coil Serpent? I love Stone Coil Serpent. What do we want it for? For Cloudstone Curio looping, or Oh, just because we can get 2 of them. Now I get you. I'm not opposed to that. I'd throw that in the pile. I can easily see cutting that, but I'm into that. The only other X creature I could think of was Hydroid Krasis, but I think that's like it's too much. Yeah, blocks and beats, and also if we are doing Cloudstone Curio loops, that's an easy thing to do. So I wonder if Cloudstone is just worth it because we can build a pretty high density of tutor effects stapled on creatures with like Imperial Recruiter and Spellseeker. There's gotta be more too. Thinking like Fierce Empath only gets some 6 CMC or up, so that doesn't help us. Oh, Cloudstone does not work with Serpent because it's an artifact. I always forget that part. Good call, good call. Oh, you know what? Orcish Lumberjack might be kind of lit for this since we want triple red for a win con. That's not particularly like a mid-rangey card, which it does look like this is a mid-rangey deck, but if we want to fill up that 1-drop slot too, I feel like this is a fine, not Magda, a fine Ragavan deck. Since, once again, we do really want a lot of different colors. Yes, I will absolutely read the commander again. It is right down below my face, but if it's a little small, I can understand. It is a 1/1 for 1 and Teamer. When, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, which I guess is something we haven't really thought about. I don't know if there's any sort of undying creatures in our undying or evolved creatures. Maybe that would be super beneficial to think about. And then the ability that I've thus far been putting the most on it to is tap it to add double colorless whenever you cast a spell with X in its when you next cast a spell with X in its mana cost, or activate an ability with X in its mana and its activation cost. This turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. That's a mouthful. Sylvan Safekeeper. Sylvan Safekeeper might not be bad. Oh, you know what I was really thinking about, since like this is going to be a real creature heavy, like creature tutor heavy deck, is Dozen the Falling Leaf. For anyone who hasn't seen that before, it's a silence effect in green. It's 1 green for a human monk 2/2. Players can play spells only during their own turn. So that's something that we could like real easily get as one of our Green Sun Zenith, etc. targets to be able to lock down interaction on our turn, which we're in blue, so maybe we don't super duper need, but it's something to think about. I do like that card a lot, and especially in a deck that's so tutor heavy like this, I kind of really like it. And in that same vein of thought, let's probably start adding some spells as well, because we're gonna need, you know, we're gonna need the good stuff. Let's get our forces and veils and shit in there. It gives 2 mana for unrestricted for whatever we want, but also the next X spell I play gets doubled regardless of whether I use... Yes, that is correct. Yeah, whether or not we use that mana for it is just the next time that we cast one of those spells, as long as we activate that mana ability. I'm pretty sure. When you next cast a spell with X in its mana cost or activate an X ability, this turn, copy it. You may choose new targets. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be spent on it. It is very interesting. And I'm wondering how, like, if you were on Magic Online, like, I don't know, I guess that text just, like, appears on the next spell that you cast. That's good, though, because, like, I don't know. I guess it sort of helps save you from removal or something like that. You know, if someone, like, hits you with an upkeep removal spell, you get to tap that and then cast your, like, Finale of Devastation on your main phase and still get it copied, so I like that. That restriction exists, right? This turn. Yes, this turn is a restriction that is on the card. It does have to be in the same turn. Now, let's get this sorted by CMC. So... Are there many X-costed spells that are, like, super viable in Commander? I guess, a Jeska's Will is pretty good for this deck. I think I also actually really like Bergie for this. And, you know, since we're going to want Gaia's Cradle, and therefore a crop rotation, I could also see putting Old Boseiju in this list to make sure that our X spells go through. I'm normally not super hot on that card anymore, but if we ran like a singular colorless land. Oh, wow, look at this funky new art. I have not seen this. If we were to run like a singular colorless land outside of our Ancient Tomb, Boseiju is not a bad one. So... I guess that means we want Lion's Eye Diamond too if we got this Intuition pile that we're thinking about. Bro, Lion's dead. Lion's Eye Diamond. By Force. Oh. By Force is a pretty defensible Magic card, actually. Just such a thing that I was talking about. Destroys X target artifacts. Wow, yeah, you know, we like... So we pay our commander into that, we're already getting 2, and then we get to blow up 4 things. It doesn't bode well for, like, our own Dockside Extortionist, but, like, it is a serious tempo play. And, you know, Dockside Extortionist is not necessary for us to win the game, it is just a good card. Alright, I think I like By Force, I could be into that. Other counter spells that we're gonna want to run, the obvious ones, Flusterstorm, Swan Song. I feel like Delay is probably pretty worthy in this list. We're gonna be more mid-rangey. And I'm trying to think of the creatures that we really don't want to see across the table from us. Like, what shuts us down? The things that shut us down... I'm thinking mostly like Blind Obedience effects. There's got to be a creature that really blows out a Kiki combo too that I'm not thinking of. But Delay also deals with that, which is the point I'm trying to make. What about Urtai's Meddling over Delay? So you turn Hulk into an artifact thing, you can by Force it. True. I have to look up Meddling. I feel like, isn't that a triple pip card? I don't remember. I guess no, it must be what, an X spell? Where'd it go? Is it in here and I'm just not saying it? I don't think so. What? I don't want 2 crop rods. Alright, hold on. Am I stupid? Is Urtai's Meddling here and I'm just not seeing it? I feel like it just added it to that crop rotation slot. Let's try it again. Yeah, it's just adding it to this crop rotation slot. I don't understand. Okay, here we go. Urti's Meddling. When target spell is successfully cast, put X delay counters on it during each upkeep. I think it's a little bit too cute. Because, like, our commander is, like, honestly a little bit hard to cast, so I'd rather just have the comfort of delay and the triple counters. Syncopate, I was thinking, when you said the meddling thing, yeah, Syncopate could be good, because Syncopate exiles, I think, right? Weird Harvest, let's take a look at that one. Each player may search his or her library for up to X creature cards, reveal them, put them into their hand. Each player who searched shuffles. Searches for X creature cards. Huh. That's kind of cool. It copies the spell so everyone gets to do it twice is the idea. I feel like maybe we just want shared summons over the Weird Harvest. Yeah. Hey, Reed from Mental Misplay. What's up, Mental Misplayers? I saw just before we went live that y'all were over there and doing some brewing this afternoon with a good friend of the show, Sleepy Thanos, aka CJ. So, what's up, everybody? Oh, Scoop Phase giving out some gift subs. All right. Oh, you know what? I got the little thing here. So I forgot to say this at the beginning of the show. So, Scoop, thanks for helping me out. Tailored Bacon and Map the Queen, both of y'all just earned yourselves one of these amazing ad nauseum altar sleeves by our good friend Gold Sabertooth, friend of the show and patron of our show as well. So big thank you to Mental Misplay for the raid. Thank you Useless Knowledge for the follow, and big thanks to Scoop for the gift subs. Let me just throw the link in there. Tailored Bacon and Map, go hit up that link I just dropped in the chat. Go fill out your Twitch stuff, and you'll get a message from Alter Sleeves at the end of the month to get one of these really super sweet ad nauseum Alter Sleeves. Scoop, thanks so much for that, bud. I appreciate it. And Alan, I appreciate you sending the raid over here. What's up, Trenton? What's up, Raiders? How's everybody doing? Still need to get last month's. You still haven't gotten last month's? If you haven't gotten last month's, get in touch with Alter Sleeves and they'll help you out. But yeah, thanks Raiders for coming and hanging out. We are currently working on, let me go ahead and make this card a little bit bigger so that y'all can see it here. We are currently working on a list for, I need to read this again because it's honestly still too tiny. We are working on Magus Lucea Kane. This is one of the new commanders from Warhammer 40k. It is 1 and Teamer. Adds a +1/+1 counter to a target creature at the beginning of combat on our turn. We can also add double colorless by tapping it, and whenever we next cast a spell with X in its mana cost or activate an ability that has X in its mana cost, we get to double it or copy it and choose new targets for it if we would like to. Yes, the Uncage the Menagerie was a suggestion by somebody in the chat here. The Uncage, I think the Uncage is probably good enough, and especially because, as noted by the person who suggested it, it is a spell seekerable target. Although I wonder if that scenario, if the Weird Harvest is just better for that, because we don't have to, like, the X cost that we're paying. Oh wait, no. This is just, yeah, okay. This is also just any old creature cards. They just have to have different names and different CMCs. Okay, so that's easy. Yeah, okay. So Uncage and Weird Harvest basically do the same thing for us. So yeah, I think we drop the Weird Harvest because that one is a little bit riskier. We don't want to give... It draws everybody 4 cards if we're copying it, which is like a ton, and like, I don't know, people can get what? Some absolute madman out there could be running Subtlety, and that would fucking ruin my life. Different names in the same CMC, is that what it is? Different names that each have... Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, in that scenario, we need to get, like, Deceiver Exarch and Imperial Recruiter, and Imperial Recruiter goes and gets Kiki Jiki. So we do need to have the mana on top of it. So... Well, I guess... Alright, hold on. Let's bring up Weird Harvest again, and let's figure out which one of these costs less to do. Uncage the Menagerie, we need to cast it for 2. Likewise with Weird Harvest. So we're spending 4 mana. We're presumably tapping our commander to cast this, so it's doubled up. So we can go and get Imperial Recruiter and Deceiver Exarch with Uncage. And then we can also get, like, Dockside Extortionist and, I don't know, Goblin Engineer or another 2-drop that we'll eventually have. And Dockside can probably clear up what we need in terms of mana production, because we're going to need... We're still gonna need, like, basically the 8 mana. Like, 7 if we cast, like, Deceiver and untaps a land that only produces 1 mana. So... I think maybe they both cost the same mana, it seems like. Hey, come Toff Legends, thank you for the follow. Does Walking Ballista get copied? It most certainly fucking does. That is a fantastic idea. Walking Ballista is a really, really good one. Does that also have X in its... No, it doesn't. I'm trying to think of things that have X in their activated ability cost. I'm not coming up with anything in particular. I thought of, like, Fiend Artisan, but obviously that's not in our colors. Yeah, Solitude would fuck me up. I'm sorry, I missed a bunch of shit in chat here. Academy Elite. I don't remember that one. No. It has X in its text box, though. I kind of thought that too, though. I don't know what that card is. You may play a card with CMC X removed from the game. Oh, because it exiles 3 instants. So we would get to cast 2 of them at the same time. So if we got, like... I don't know. We could get, like, Intuition and... a Jeska's Will to make extra mana or something like that. That could potentially be a line. Not super sold on it, though, just because it's a tap ability. Elite Arcanist. Alright, let's take a look at this one. ETBs, you may exile an instant from your hand, and this time you get to copy it. I think it's too much mana, but it's interesting. That's kind of cool. I feel like the ones with X and their activation costs are gonna generally be wonkier. I don't know. I did not... Alright, I'm sorry. Let me specify. I would like your top tier, absolute best fucking card you've ever heard of suggestions. Elite Arcanist puts in work in a zombie. I can definitely see that, especially like in mono blue, where like you don't want to go 1-for-1 on all of your counters. Copies Whir of Invention and gets you the combo right away. Which combo are you talking about, Legends? Dramatic Reversal. It's like useful, but I don't think particularly where we want to be in this deck. Oh, Candelabra. Candelabra is a really good idea. That's kind of hot. We get to pay X and untap X target lands. I wonder how that's errated. It says separate. Yeah, it's just target. Oh, so I guess, like, Magus of the Candelabra is another one. Oh, and I guess Magus of the Candelabra, if we have a Shia on board, also being a land, means we can go infinite on mana. But again, I don't know what we're doing with mana. I think I would rather just have it be the Candelabra that we don't need to wait to untap. Magus, I'm not super duper hot on. But we'll chuck it in the maybe pile. I feel like we need more mana dorks. We definitely need more, like, ramp in general. I don't know if this is a Mana Vault deck. It could be a Mana Vault deck. It helps us, like, cast Kitten, generate mana with Kitten. Helps us cast Deceiver Exarch, Ashaya, Spellseeker, Imp Recruiter. It helps us, like, go Imp Recruiter into Dockside really easily because it gives us that one extra mana we need for it. I guess I could be pretty sold on a Mana Vault for this deck. Yeah, that's my thoughts as well, is that Magus of the Candelabra is probably just fine. I think I'm pretty convinced to go on Cage over Weird Harvest. I think I'm not super sold on the Reshape and Whir, although maybe if we're just using them to, like, you have to sacrifice an artifact for Reshape, so I guess I'm not as into that because I don't think we're going to have an abundance of them. But, like, whirring for 2 pieces of mana ramp at the same time is kind of hot. I don't know, I guess I'm not super sold on that either, but it does still get, like, Cloudstone Curio, which is kind of a big deal. Yeah, Bloom Tender I was thinking about earlier, and I think that Bloom Tender is probably good enough for this deck. Again, because we are so pip hungry. Like, adding in, like, Llanowar, Finhorn Elves and shit doesn't feel particularly helpful. Because we're gonna be more Izzet than anything else, I would imagine. City of Solitude. City of Solitude is an interesting one. The reason that I like Dozin a lot is that it's very easily tutorable in this deck, being a creature and a green creature, but just to bring it up for anyone who might not have heard of it before, it's the same thing as Dozin. Each player may play spells and abilities only on their turn. Although, actually, I don't know if... We'll stuff that in the sideboard. I don't remember if Dozin says abilities either. No, it's only spells, so you can still activate abilities of things during our going off turn, which, like, could be a thing. But it's probably mostly helpful to just have that that protection. So we've got 60 things on our main board right now. Obviously, we've got 2 lands as well already. And I guess other lands that, like, I just know that I want to run are, like, Boseiju and Odawara. Both of those, like, gonna be pretty fantastic parts of our interaction slot. There's gotta be some more powerful sorceries, and I think I want to, like, lean a little bit heavier into red and stuff as well. Sora Fowler, thank you very much for the follow. Good to have you here. Dozin feels a little sketchy. Well, Dozin Dozin I only want because we can tutor it with one of our, like, grab X creatures, or, like, get it as one of our extra Green Sun or Finale targets when we're going for a win. Because, like, presumably most of the time we're just going to be able to, like, you know, we can, like, we're not going to be going off on, like, turn 1 or something where we're, like, grabbing A plus B combo with it every time. Like, Dozin being in our creature slot allows us to have, like, extra protection off of, like, the first Green Sun or the first Finale before we go for our secondary creature for the win con, whatever it might be. That's my thoughts on it, at least. I definitely don't want to send it around the table, but if we're able to land it, presumably we're pretty safe to win the game with it. Sentinel Flute. I don't know this one. Let's take a look. 5 mana, pay X and tap. Search your library for a creature card with CMC X or less, reveal it, put it into your hand. If it was onto the battlefield, I think I would be pretty into it, but going to hand I think is not going to be enough for the mana cost. So it's like a 15 mana Kiki Jiki if we're thinking about it in our most expensive angles. I feel like Professional Face Breaker is just good enough, and I want that card advantage. I do definitely want to think about some more card advantage spells, and maybe this is where I say that I do want to run Pull from Tomorrow. It is one of the cheaper pay X and draw X spells. Like, we do have to discard, but also if we're playing towards Underworld Breach a non-zero amount of the time, that's not the worst thing I've ever heard of. Yeah, going to hand is pretty rough. I think if it was go to battlefield, that would honestly be kind of hot. Although, I don't know, we've got so many creature tutors already. Are there more that we want to think about? I guess just like Worldly Tutor is probably good enough for this deck. Is there a Snoop line you can do in Teamer? Do we need Jun to be able to... Now, I think at the point that I'm thinking about Snoop, that means we also want to be running, like, whatever the goblin is that puts goblins on top of your library and shit, and I think that is probably a bridge too far. Snoop probably not good enough. Yeah, I think at the point that we're also fitting in Goblin Recruiter, I'm probably not as interested in it. I would rather just be running, like, another counterspell over that kind of a slot, I think. Hey, Beal Runa, thank you very much for the follow. I talked about Carpet of Flowers earlier, and I think I'm not mad at it, because we're so mana hungry. We could just be running Niv Mizzet in this deck. And, like, not in the sense that we also need to run Curiosity, but, like, it's a fucking huge brick shithouse, and, like, it draws a bunch of cards. We do need, like, advantage engines. I don't know. I'm not opposed to a Niv Mizzet Parun. I'll think about it. It's very spicy. It's just a card that I love. But, like, I feel like it's not super hard to cast for this deck. We got an Orcish Lumberjack. That takes care of 3 of it already. Like, Bergie helps, BFB helps, Dockside helps, the Ragavan helps, Cryptic Trilobite does not help. I think that given that we're so pip hungry and not as much colorless hungry, I think I'd be willing to drop Trilobite. Seems a little bit weak. Squib Ranger. What's that card called? Is it actually? It's not Squib, is it? No. Scrib. What does this fella do? Pro blue flash. Return a forest. Untap target creature. Activated only once. It's possible that that could be like. That could be our secondary GSC Green Sun Zenith target, aside from Quirion in the deck. Although I think I'm less interested in doubling up on that consistency, because that's the one that needs an additional payoff. Oh, Vexing Shusher could be pretty good. Everflowing Chalice I hadn't thought of, but oh, maybe I think I might be hotter on like Astral Cornucopia, as wild as that sounds. That is a triple X spell. Enters battlefield with X charge counters on it, and it adds a mana of any color. So like we have to tap our commander and then pay 1, and then we get two Arcane Signets pretty much. Maybe that's a little bit OD. In that same vein, I feel like with the Chalice helps us cast things like the finales of the worlds and things like that, but I think that we probably are like sparse enough on those X spells that like we'll be able to cast them appropriately when the time comes. Vexing Shusher, I have never been super hot on, but I just had a really interesting conversation with a friend of the show, Billy Mitchell, about his Faldorn deck, and he was really into Vexing Shusher during Punt City, so I'm kind of more into Vexing Shusher than I have been in a previous life, but we are already on blue, which makes me think, like, I don't know, how much do I super care about making that a creature slot? Like, would I just rather run another kind of counter spell that that can also like counter an opposing creature spell or something like that, like a mana drain or something like that? I feel like I could be convinced to run mana drain in this deck. I'm usually not super hot on mana drain anymore in 3-color decks, but we've got some solid payoffs for spending it, so I'm not mad at that. Clicky, absolutely. Ask away. I'm here to field suggestions. Having blue devalue Shusher, but still think it's great. Play Shusher over Drain. I'm interested to hearing argument for Shusher over Drain. Is it just like purely because it's uncounterable and like a little bit easier to cast? Like Shusher being double green is pretty easy to cast, which is nice. Dark After Dark, thank you very much for the follow. With the Drain, I like that we can like do the things that we're thinking about with like the Everflowing Chalice, like jumping it into X spells or something like that, but also can be like, it can be split up fairly well among different things. Shusher is a target. Yeah, that's a good point. Dark, I think it probably depends a lot on the board texture and situation, but I think more so than wanting to dash or not dash, I think more so it usually comes down to whether or not people have 2 mana on turn 1. Shusher makes your spells uncounterable and makes your opponent's spells uncounterable that you want to resolve. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about as well. Like, that was what Billy really sold me on, was that, like, Vexing Shusher can also make sure that your opponent's ad nauseum doesn't resolve, which is like a big deal for sure. We don't want ad nauseums resolving. All right, we'll stick with Shusher in there, but I think I might also keep Mana Drain around for the moment as we're fleshing out the rest of this deck. Just go ahead and add in some more like random good teamer spells. Like the spell, definitely want like a Lightning Bolt. Is it possible that we want Grape Shot for our infinite mana outlets? I guess if we're able to make infinite treasures with Dockside, Professional Facebreaker is another outlet for doing that. So in that sense, I think that Grape Shot might be kinda hot. My friend picked up a Ragavan, but usually we all establish blockers on turn 1 to 2. Yeah, that's my experience. It definitely like non-zero amount of the time. Yeah, Ragavan definitely does not always get there. In the case of this deck, we do at least have things like Neoform or Eldritch Evolution that give us the benefit of having that extra body, and the plus side of like randomly getting treasures off it is pretty sweet. I'm kind of liking the way that this is starting to look. I feel like maybe I'm a little bit less sold on Stonecoil Serpent than I was in a previous life. I feel like maybe Hyrax Tower Scout can come out and we just go with Deceiver, Exarch, and Pestermite as our Kiki untappers. Oh yeah, March of Swirling Mist must have. I keep building decks where Dress Down isn't good, and it keeps making me sad. I love Dress Down so much, but I don't think that we're a Dress Down deck. We are an Endurance deck, though. That's some nice Thoracle protection that we can run main deck, or like in our deck, I guess. And I don't know. I guess like we could run Dress Down purely defensively, but I'm not super hot on that. Sora, I appreciate the confidence. Twinning Staff is does it cost 1,000,000 mana? I don't remember. I don't remember what this spell says or does. No, it costs 1,000,000 mana to activate. It says for 3 mana, it is an artifact. If you would copy a spell 1 or more times, instead copy it that many times plus an additional time. You may choose new targets. So that means that every time that we can spend 3 colorless mana, and then we're getting our extra. We get a third search off of Whir or Cord, or like our Menagerie or Finale or something like that. That could be interesting. I don't know. I'm trying to think if that unlocks something extra for us, or if that is just like another good thing, but maybe overkill and maybe something that's like not necessary for us winning. Cephalid Coliseum I'm not opposed to in our mana base, since we are only on 3 colors. And we're a Breach deck. We're not going to use our life total very well. Or, like, very aggressively, I mean. Just picked up Edgar a few days ago at Frankenstein. Looking forward to building a high-powered casual deck. Edgar is gonna fucking whip all your friends in the butt. That's a super, super strong card. Lassotep Plating. I don't remember what Lassotep Plating does. You and permanents you control gain hexproof until the end of turn. Honestly, I think I'd rather have Heroic Intervention, because like it's not REB-able, and it saves us from certain board wipes. But Heroic Intervention could actually be pretty sweet. I think a pretty defensible card in this deck. Copies the Astral, that's true, yeah. Blame me for Stax deck. Stax is a really hard archetype to pilot in cEDH, and hats off to anyone who does it. It is definitely not easy. We're at 79 in our main board now, so I think time to look at trimming a few things that are not fully gonna make the cut here. So I think I can commit to getting rid of the Serpent. Ballista's maybe too cute, but it puts us in a scenario where, like, if we're Cloudstone with Recruiter and Dockside, like, that goes and gets Ballista when we're ready for it or something like that. I don't know. It's like, it's pretty fine. Scrib Ranger, I think let's cut. I'm thinking of more things that we can untap with that Ashaya and Quirion combo. Like, we're basically just going to have untaps a creature. Do we basically only have like Bloom Tender to go infinite on mana with that. Is Ashaya Quirion Ranger where we want to be? I can imagine keeping Ashaya in the deck regardless because of the protective quality of having Ashaya, like getting us to dodge like abrupt decay sort of effects. There is currently not a Kinnan in this deck. Kinnan is cool. Kinnan finds most of our combo pieces. We got for like doublers. Yeah, I think the Astral Cornucopia is probably too cute. I really don't want to rely on our commander for a spell that is that wonky. I think I might want to cut this Quirion Ranger. But it doesn't tap a Kiki Jiki. It doesn't tap a Kiki Jiki, does untap a Goblin Recruiter. Maybe Quirion's okay. Oh, it untaps our commander too. I forgot about that. Our commander also has a mana ability that can like... That could be pretty useful. Okay, alright, I think I'm sold on Quirion Ranger being main deckable. If we had a source of haste we could combo with Displacer, what's the Displacer Kitten combo? Instead of Quirion Ranger, Magdalene. What's the Magdalene like? The reason that I like Quirion Ranger is that we're able to get it off of Green Sun Zenith as like a pure bunch of green stuff that we can get. But I'm definitely open to listening to different stuff. Instead of Quirion Ranger, yeah, so what is the idea with the Magda? Magda is something I was thinking about too, but currently it puts in... I guess it goes and gets our Cloudstone Curio, is what you're saying? Like, Magda is another thing that just makes a random treasure, which I'm also not opposed to. Yeah. Yeah, maybe Magda's good enough. Yeah. I could see Magda being good enough. It also gets a birthing pod, which means we can use it to, like, exchange creatures. Sorry, yeah, I've actually been playing an updated version of Ponypod lately that I've been having a ton of fun with. We just played it on stream, I think all 3 games this past weekend. I'll probably be playing it more on Wednesday. Just flicking the commander and stacking copy effects. Oh. That's kind of hot. Magda doesn't require a line in this deck too. Dockside Loop solves it. Oh, nice, Sora. That's awesome. I'm super glad to hear that. I've been having a ton of fun with it, so I hope that it brings you some joy. So I'm sorry, Legends. Are you saying that you don't think that we should be on Magda, or are you saying that like the line isn't necessary? Like we're just talking about like Dockside plus Magda is good. Because it also helps with some other Fringe energies like the PFB, which is like not bad. Ragavan helps out. It sort of is like the natural slot into a deck that already has these things. So somebody brought up Kinnan. Kinnan is like Kinnon's a good card and it's a good mana ramp. It's just kind of random though, and I think there's a lot of ways to be more precise than Kinnon is for this deck. Like, it helps us skirt around like rule of laws and that sort of matchup and stuff too, which is nice. But I think that we probably want to spend our slots on things that are more exact. Magged in the deck, but no combo around her. Thrasios was something I was considering for the 99 because we do need outlets for the infinite mana or infinite storm if that is one of the angles that we're trying to hit with this deck, and like Grape Shot is a fine one. It's not the best though. I don't know, it's not a super exciting card. So like, I don't know, maybe Thrasios over the Grape Shot. I could see that. Grape Shot is not like a super not a super great removal spell, as it were. I think I would very much like to run like an Abrade in this deck as additional like hard creature removal, and then some of the softer stuff like Chain of Vapor. Chain of Vapor is like a little bit risky in a creature-based deck like this, but being able to ritual some of our spells with it I think is going to be good enough. Maybe like an Alchemist Retrieval I've been enjoying. Especially since there are plenty of things that we would probably not mind removing of our own with an Alchemist Retrieval. It's pretty nice. Snap could be pretty good in this deck, actually. Seasons Pass is a fucking rad one. Muffins, the deck it's starting to come together here. We need to start making some cuts, but somebody asked what the win con in this deck is. So the win cons that we're going for is all embiggen our commander again, so everybody can read it more easily. But our commander basically doubles X spells. So our big things that we're able to do with this deck is double up on spells like Finale of Devastation to go and get 2 creatures that end the game at the same time. One of the main lines is Kiki Chiki, and one of our Pestermite effects here. And other than that, we've got the ability to like make infinite mana with Dockside Extortionist and a Cloudstone Curio, and then we can draw through our deck with Professional Facebreaker and dump that into things like Finale of Devastation, this Grape Shot, which might get cut. But yeah, basically we're like a mid-range creature value combo deck. Doesn't Ashaya turn off Kitten? Yes, I believe that you're correct about that. It is one non-land permanent. So, well, it shuts off the ET. It shuts off us being able to like blink our creatures for ETB value. Which is definitely not nothing. So it does stop us from like Imperial Recruiter, Pestermite doubling up and things like that. It doesn't stop us from blinking things like Candelabra or Mana Vault or Birthing Pod. And Ashaya's not like... Ashaya and Displacer Kitten are both not like necessary pieces to have on board, but I think Displacer Kitten probably presents enough value in this deck where I'm pretty comfortable running it. Speaking of, I want to run Displacer Kitten's best friends, Not Just Revival, and Gitaxian Probe. And I guess we get to run Gamble, which is fun. Our mana, our card advantage, rather, in this deck is, like, pretty low. Oh, I just realized we can Eldritch Evolution our commander into Niv Mizzet. That's kind of fun. Survival of the Fittest is probably a pretty good suggestion. So things that look a little fatty to me are like this Grape Shot. Yeah, Grape Shot is like, that's unnecessary. If we can somehow make infinite mana and draw through our deck to find Grape Shot, we can also just get Lightning Bolt and kill people with Eternal Witness Lightning Bolt. I think that's already That's already kicked in there enough that we don't need to work any harder on that, I think. By Force, I think I still like. Gamble, Get Probe, GSC, Finale, Neoform, Uncage, I think is pulling enough weight. All of these seem fine. Creatures, Ballista, I could see cutting. We're at 83, so we need to make some decisions about lands as well. Misdirection I might be into. Oh, Ledger Shredder. Ledger Shredder is definitely where we want to be in terms of like card selection. It's not a card advantage, but especially in a combo deck like this, we really want to be churning through our deck and finding our combo pieces. All right, so let's take a look at some more stuff here. Pull. Maybe we're just off of pull. Maybe pull is just too cute. Reshape we already cut. Whir of Invention. Whir of Invention is triple blue. Whir of Invention gets us Cloudstone Curio and Birthing Pod in terms of combo pieces. It gets us Candelabra of Tawnos and like Mana Vault in terms of like the biggest pieces of acceleration. I feel like I'm not super sold on Whir. Let's move that to the considering. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. Remora and Study we've got already. I think our enchantments are probably well set up. Carpet of Flowers might get the cut. Oh, I forgot we've already got 5 lands in our land section already, so I guess we've got 77 cards in main deck, which is not far from where we want to be. We just want to make a couple more cuts, I think. I don't think that we need Blue Sun. I think my problem with Blue Sun is the same thing that I'm having with the Whir of Invention. It's just that it's triple blue, and at the point that we're able to like infinite mana Blue Sun Zenith to opponents, we can kill them in some other way with this deck too. Like we'll just have, we'll be able to piece together something. There's a lot of different ways to kill an opponent with this deck, I think Ballista, you're gonna eat the dust. We're at 26 creatures, which is I think an okay number. Our curve, we've got just Displacer Kitten at 4 for pod purposes. Although if we pod any 2-drop into like, I don't know, like Tower Scout or something like that, or not Tower Scout, I guess it has to be like Exarch because it's a permanent. Yeah, so if we do any 2-drop into the Exarch, that can untap the pod, and then we can pod the Displacer Kitten into a Kiki-Jiki if it happened to be on board. So I guess that's not the worst. We don't need Displacer Kitten to go off any further in that way. I think I want to cut the Tower Scout. Ballista's there as an infinite mana sink, and also like our commander technically would copy it and double it, so there's like some fringe value there of just like having 2 walking ballistas that we can control the board with. Although, I don't know, a creature that we can just a creature that we can tutor up and dump infinite mana into is maybe something that we want for this deck if Cloudstone Curio is actually going to be a piece of this plan. I don't know, maybe I want to think a little bit harder about that, actually. What else in this creature package isn't going to make the cut here? Goblin Engineer goes and gets the Cloudstone Curio, and it gets our mana ramp, and that is it. If it goes directly into the graveyard, I don't know if that's super good enough. Because we do need haste to be able to get it back. Aboleth Spawn copies. I don't know what... Oh, Aboleth Spawn is that new thing from the D&D set or something, right? What does this do? Flash Ward 2, whenever a creature entering the battlefield under an opponent's control causes a triggered ability of that creature to trigger, you may copy that ability and you may choose new targets for the copy. I don't know if that's particularly where we need to be in this deck, but we'll put it in the sideboard. Yeah, this Engineer. Maybe the Engineer is just better served as Magda, and maybe we don't need this Engineer. It's seeming kind of slow for the other, in comparison to the other lines that we can be taking. I think taking a turn off to be able to tap this and swap something out is probably a little bit too slow because we currently don't have any haste enablers. I'm not currently keen on putting haste enablers in here. Yeah, I think Engineer is gonna live a life in the sideboard. I don't think we need a haste enabler. Like, haste enablers like open us up to some like extracurricular lines where like we can do all of this stuff if we have a haste enabler, like if we have a third card that is hard to like find with our available tutor packages. So like I'd rather just lean into lines that we can activate all in one go without needing to without needing any extracurricular pieces, because like again, we're at 79 cards right now. 5 of those are lands, so we're at 74. I'd like to cut at least like 4-ish, maybe 3 or 4-ish more cards, and like something like an Anger or Rhythm of the Wild or something like that. That's something I would definitely be side-eyeing pretty hard in this scenario, I think. And honestly, I feel like Dryad's Revival is like getting to that point where like, how much do I care about that specific part of this intuition line? Oh no. Intuition, I feel like, is probably just good enough anyway. Maybe Intuition is not good enough on its own, though. Dryad's Revival feels like a pretty deadish card, so if we dropped Revival, Intuition, and Brain Freeze, we go down to 76 cards on the main board, and 5 of them are lands, putting us to 71 main deck, and then we get to run 29 lands. I think that might be the ticket, although that means that we're probably also dropping the LED. But I guess I'm not opposed to like dropping those, putting in like a Spell Pierce or something into our counter suite. Somebody shouted out Misdirection earlier, which I think I'm not. Oh, we probably want to be running like Fierce Guardianship and Deflecting Swat, since we are kind of like commander centric. Oh my god, Fierce Guardianship is a $75 card. I did not know that. Ooh, Deflecting Swat is almost 50. Holy cow. I think, yeah, Niv might be too much. Yisan is interesting. I think unfortunately Yisan might just be too slow. So we've got Quirion Ranger already. We could add like Corridor Monitor to untap it 2. And we've got Deceiver Exarch to untap it 3. We've got I don't know, I guess Displacer Kitten that we could grab it for. If we cast anything, we Deceiver Exarch, untap the Yisan, and then we can search again for Kiki Jiki. It costs roughly 1 billion green mana to do all of that. It's 3 to get Quirion Ranger. Three to get the Monitor. Monitor untaps the Yisan. 3 more to get Exarch, which also untaps the Yisan, so that's all sunk there. 12 to go get Displacer Kitten. So, like, at the very least, 15 mana to do all 5 activations, plus, like, a Gitaxian Probe or something to activate the Kitten. Yeah, I think Yisan might be too slow. Yeah, it is not affected by stacks, which is something that we could possibly be thinking about. But if, I don't know, if stacks is a consideration, I'd be more interested in Niv Mizzet because it's uncounterable and it starts to control the board and draw us cards. Having something that draws us cards is, like, pretty important for this deck as well, not having advantage in the command zone. I think I can be pretty convinced to drop this Intuition pile. Let's do it. We're gonna run Breach regardless, but we can drop these cards. LED, I don't think that we need. Got 72 main deck now. Mana Drain I could see cutting. Jeska's Will I could potentially see cutting. I'd love to get, like, a Brainstorm in here. Maybe even a Ponder. Not super hot on Ponder, though. Let's see, we can make a couple more cuts here. What else are we gonna get rid of? Snap, Mana Drain, Heroic Intervention are all things that are, like, not the best. Let's get rid of the Intervention. We're a blue deck. I don't know. We don't have anything else that saves us from a board wipe aside from countering it, but we have plenty of counters. What's our creature count is 24, which is pretty sizable. I wonder if that's enough for Throng Quarry. Not quite sure. Let's take a look at packages. How do I search them? I don't remember. There we go. Is this, like, pretty close to what I would want? Oh no, not my collection. Enable? Oh, no, that's also not what I want to do. I forget how I... Subscribe, that's what I need to do. Okay. Let's see. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to figure it out. I'm just going to do it myself, I guess. Let's add some lands here. We definitely want a Yavi Maya. I don't know if I've ever had a Yavi Maya deck before, actually. Oh, Malevolent Hermit. Malevolent Hermit, I think, is something I would be pretty interested in this deck. having another, like, silence / Dozen effect, I think, is pretty profitable for a deck like this. Are we an Ancient Tomb deck? I think that we're an Ancient Tomb deck. Yeah, we've got lots of good 3-drops. I guess pretty much any deck that has Rhystic Study in it probably wants to be an Ancient Tomb deck. So, let's see. We don't get to run any really hot stuff like Glimmer Voids or, no, Mana Confluence is what I'm trying to think of. Like Glimmer Void or like Spire of Industry, those both aren't going to be good for a deck. Thron Quarry was one that I was thinking about out loud earlier, but our creature package isn't like so high. It's adds a mana of any color at the end of each turn. If you control no creatures, you have to sacrifice it. So it is a strip mine if we don't have creatures anymore, which is like not super hot. Barbarian Ring is not terrible. It is uncounterable. Pay a red and sacrifice and deals 2 damage to target creature or player, activated only if you have 7 or more cards in the graveyard. So let's think Opposition Agent is a killer for us. Collector Oof is bad for us. Trying to think of all the things that Barbarian Ring kills that we really care about and what it doesn't kill that we really care about. Rule of Law effects are pretty bad for us, so I think I would, in addition to the Boseiju and the Alchemist Retrieval and shit, I might also want just a straight up Nature's Claim. Barbarian Ring, I might not be opposed to. Let's keep it around for the moment, and we'll keep thinking. We also want a City of Brass. Something like Ancient Ziggurat, I think is probably a bridge too far with only 24 creatures in our deck. 25. And then other basic. What are some of the, we need like Exotic Orchards. Do we care about running Forbidden Orchard? Yes, we have Ragavan, we have Magda, we do care about Forbidden Orchard tokens, so let's not go with Forbidden Orchard. Let's add in, of course, our duels that we're gonna need. Taiga, Volcanic. And the third one, Tropical. Go ahead and add in our Shocklands as well. I think I might be into running more basics than I normally would. Oh, Gemstone Caverns. I always forget Gemstone. Then what are the other ones? We got Steam Vents. Already got the Stomping Ground, I think. And the Breeding Pool. Okay. So then we add in some fetches. We're already at 20 lands, which is nice. So we add in our fetches. We could fill out just basically the rest of this with fetches, but we might also want to just have some of the like untapped Battle Bond lands. Alright, so we got our basic 3, and what's our color skew look like in this deck? Pretty even split on Simic, and then 25% red sources. Okay. So, we'll add in a majority Simic for our off-color fetches here. I would suggest put only certain fetches in and more basics. Yeah, Archon of Myria is something I was thinking about as well. I'd probably like to have, like... With things like Kiki and Niv, I feel more wary about running basics. But, like... I feel like maybe one island, one forest, I think that we could get away with. I don't want to run a basic mountain. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I wouldn't be super duper hot on it. Get a rejuvenating spring in there. And I wonder if maybe we want to run like the Horizon lands, like Waterlog Grove. I could see that. Oh, what did that color split look like? 34, 34, and 25. So we need to cut 2 more cards from our main deck, and this is pretty much like where I want it to be in terms of number of lands for this deck. 29 seems pretty appropriate. In terms of things that we could cut in the main deck, Dozen is always a pretty easy thing to cut. We could cut like Dozen and Niv, and neither one of those would hurt a whole lot, although I do like both of those cards a lot. Other than that, Jeska's Will, I think, is a little eh. I could see dropping, like, Snap. Although we do have Gaia's Cradle, which makes Snap a lot cooler. Artifacts. I think our artifact package looks pretty solid. Mana Vault is like... Mana Vault, I think, is maybe the worst artifact in this lineup, but it's still pretty good. We don't have Lotus Petal or Lion's Eye Diamond. But Underworld Breach, I think, is probably just still good enough. Like, I think it probably is. I could also see cutting the Carpet. I've definitely played a non-zero amount of games recently where Carpet was not even able to make mana. So, maybe Carpet and Jeska's Will. I could see cutting the both of those. And then that's our 100 card main deck. Let's take another look at this mana base. How much do I want to run Island and Forest? I feel like I would rather make those either Battle Bond lands or Horizon lands. Maybe Barbarian Ring could get cut because we're not super great at filling our graveyard. Maybe the same thing with the Cephala Coliseum. Maybe we cut Barbarian Ring and Cephala Coliseum since we're not on like Wheel of Fortunes or anything like that. Yeah, let's cut our Threshold lands. We'll replace those ones with some Horizon lands, Waterlog Grove, and then like Fiery Islet. And then we've still got a couple of basics. And I guess this Thron Quarry, I guess I'm not super... Oh, we already had a Waterlog Grove. So let's get a training center in there. Final Fortune is kind of spicy. Oh, Cascade Bluffs is an interesting suggestion. It is an untapped source that does help us a lot with our Niv Mizzet or our Kiki Jiki. Things like Burgi making red mana that we can transfer into blue, or like Orcish Lumberjack also being able to transfer into blue in that scenario is kind of hot. We do have these double green spells, which make me not as hot on the idea of Cascade Bluffs. I don't know. That's an interesting consideration, though. I'm going to stuff it in the sideboard for right now. I'm not convinced, I think, at this current moment that swapping that in over, like, the Thrang Quarry is where... Oh, not Cataracts. Cascade Bluffs. Yeah, let's stuff that in the sideboard, because I'm not mad at that, but I think over the Thrang Quarry, I'm more interested in just running, like, could be another Horizon Land. Could be another basic. Could be Tarnished Citadel. I don't care about my life total. I know it's not 2019 anymore, but I'm going to put in Tarnished Citadel. Okay, see, like, what am I using my life for? Sylvan Library? Not getting beaten to death? That's fine. I'm good with the Citadel, I think. No Vannifar, basically just because we have to wait for the Summoning Sickness to fade. Like, we've got the Birthing Pod, which is the same idea. We just, it costs less mana, and we don't need to wait for it to not be Summoning Sick anymore. I think I'm pretty not mad at this list. How many counter spells we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It's kind of sparse for my own personal liking. I feel like I see lots of people run pretty much 9 or 10 counter spells in their deck. I tend to like to run a few more, although we've got like Vexing Shusher and Dozen, which also sort of get lumped into that category. This list does have indeed a lot going on. This is the nature of the I just heard about a card and we're gonna brew it on stream list. I'm not mad at it though. It does stuff. I think we don't have a Mystical Tutor, which is pretty integral to what we're trying to accomplish here with these creature tutors. I wonder if we just straight up want like a solve the equation. I feel like solve would be fine for this deck. It's also another blue card to pitch to force. So if we need to cut a couple more things, Niv, love you, buddy. You're getting sideboarded. Could be Dozen too. Could be Dozen. Could be Biforce is like not the most effective spell in the world, although it is really cool with our commander. But I don't know. We've already got a Braid. We've already got bounce spells. Yeah, maybe Biforce is like a little bit too narrow. I could come closer to believing in this. I wonder if, like, I don't know, is Sylvan Tutor good enough for this deck, being sorcery speed and put it on top? We don't have a ton of ways to get things off the top of our library. We've got like Brainstorm, Gitaxian Probe. Yeah, maybe Sylvan Tutor's like a little bit too slow in the face of like the other stronger tutors that we're already running. The Suspend is like... I don't think I've ever seen someone cast Suspend. Suspend seems like pretty medium. It's like fine, but I think it depends on like what you're scared of and how much you need removal for it. Like, we've got pretty a pretty good array of like removal and counter spells, insofar that I don't know that Suspend is like... I'd be looking at swapping in Suspend over like Snapper Alchemist Retrieval, I think. And I don't think that I like I think I like the mana ramp more on Snap, and I think, I don't know, Alchemist Retrieval versus Suspend. Well, the thing about Alchemist Retrieval is that it's not only creatures, it's that it also gets like Rule of Law effects. It can also hit our own Candelabra to make more mana. Yeah, Suspend is a thing where, like, I feel like if you're in maybe a 2-color deck, or in mono blue, Suspend is like really hot, I'm sure, in mono blue. But I think we've just got so many things that maybe we don't need it as much. Force of Vigor is pretty interesting. Dryad Arbor I'm not super hot on because it's a creature, and like there are many ways in which Dryad Arbor fucks you over in terms of like getting blown out by like sweeper effects and like having summoning sickness and some other sort of strange things like that, where I think that we're not getting enough benefit off of having a Dryad Arbor, where I think it's better than it is awkward. Force of Vigor, we are like a third green, a third or more green. I guess we're mostly blue now. Force of Vigor I'm not mad at, though. Force of Vigor is a very good card. It does bring me back to my point that I wanted to get a Nature's Claim in here, which I think I'd be more comfortable on the claim, especially since we are sort of short on our card advantage in this deck. Not needing a secondary thing to pitch to it and then just costing a quarter as much to a hard cast, I think is probably a little bit better. Keep eyeing this creature package, but the creature package looks like fairly tight. Like, we could cut either the Exarch or the Pestermite. But I don't know, I kind of like having both of them. They're both pretty good. They both do pretty good stuff in this deck. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I would cut anything from the creature package for a Nature's Claim. How many answers do we have to a Rule of Law? We've got Alchemists, Chain of Vapor. Yeah, we've got a Swan Song to fight it on the stack. And then we've got Boseiju. So it is like kind of light. The other things that kind of kill us in terms of artifacts, enchantments are, let's see. Deafening Silence can be bad for us. Rule of Laws are bad for us. Cursed Totems are bad for us. I think it's probably worth having the Nature's Claim. What do we want to drop for it? Maybe the Mana Drain, I could see. Although, that is another thing bringing us down on, like, creatures that we can have. Oh, Spellskite is a card that we can run in this deck, which is, like, kind of hot. Pay a Phyrexian blue mana to change the target of a spell or ability to Spellskite, so that can save us from a lot of different things. I kind of really like Spellskite alongside the Vexing Shusher as creature counter spells. Compost could be solid. My thoughts on Compost, for anyone who doesn't know Compost, bring it up here. The way that I feel about Compost, whenever a black card is put into an opponent's graveyard, you may draw a card. The way that I feel about this card is that usually if you're drawing a lot of cards off Compost, you are probably losing the game. It is like, it's good incremental draw when people are like, you know, casting a Vampiric Tutor or a Demonic Tutor or things like that. But the game is usually so close to being over at that point that, like, I feel like a lot of the times it's like pay 2 mana to draw like 1 or 2 cards, which like probably won't be enough in that scenario, because you also have to consider that a lot of the win cons in the format are not black cards. Like Ad Nauseam is an advantage spell, but it doesn't win the game. Like the things that people are casting over and over again are like red spells and blue spells a lot of the time. So if Compost were like on a different color axis, I might be a little bit hotter on it. Is Uncaged just too cute? I wonder if it is. It's possible that it is. I think I don't know. It's sort of like the whole thing of the deck, though. I feel like I'd like to try it before I just, like, cut it without ever casting it. So what else are we looking at here? Like, maybe March? Maybe March or Snap can get cut? I could see it being Snap. Something like a Braid is just a little bit more flexible. We're not particularly using our mana other than, like, either ramping or just saving ourselves from spending that mana. It does, like, enable us to, like, do more things with, like, a Spellseeker or an Imperial Recruiter or something like that, but we've got Chain and we've got Alchemist, which are, like, they perform the same function, so I don't know how much we super need the third, as much as I do really like Snap. If we had to make one more cut, I wonder if it's Survival. Survival puts Malevolent directly in the bin, which is kind of cool. Survival obviously, like, grabs us any creature that we want. I'm also still thinking about Walking Ballista as a creature that we can dump infinite mana into. Trying to also think if there's anything clever, anything else that's very clever that we can do with Magda. It gets all of our artifacts, and it gets dragons, which we do not have any of. No, I think we've pretty much done it also. It could be the Dozen. Dozen could be the last cut here. It is a little bit wonky. It is traditionally, and I'm sure for a reason, an underplayed card in the game of cEDH. We did have a Dragon Muffins. Everyone tried to convince me to cut it. Just plays Painter Servant, and then everything will compost. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Chalice? I don't know that we skirt Chalice super well. Like, what do? We Chalice on 0, I guess? Or, like, Chalice on 1 or 2? Chalice on 2 stops our Dockside combo, which is not the main combo, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Chalice on 1 stops a lot of our interaction, which I'm not as into. I think Chalice not quite right for this deck. I can just commit the Cardinal Sin and just cut a land. But no, I think it's probably the Dozen. It's a tough call. I really like Dozen. I'm not sure. And I do want to I do want to cut something to add Niv Mizzet back. Could be Solve the Equation. That's another thing that's, like, kind of like fringish. Could not be the greatest. Ron, thank you very much for the follow. I'm glad that people are hanging and enjoying. I'm gonna cut one more from this list. It could be Bergie. Bergie makes our Cloudstone loops cheaper, helps us cast a Kiki Jiki, helps us chain things like Imperial Recruiter, helps us cast things off Menagerie. I think with all of the ramping help and then with Horn of Harnfell on the back of Bergie, I think that's honestly good enough. Oh, Harnfell can probably help us get along with Underworld Breach as well, which I hadn't considered. So yeah, I think that's probably good enough. Spellskite and Vexing Shusher. I could see cutting one of those. Yeah, maybe it's this Dozen. I don't know, though. Dozen is less of a mana investment than, like, Vexing Shusher, right? But Vexing Shusher is more flexible. Alright. Kill your babies. Dozen, going to the sideboard. Okay, so we're back at 100 again. We've got Worldly Tutor, we've got Mystical Tutor, all the things I always forget to add to decks. I feel like this list looks pretty solid. I feel like it feels a little bit less stretched out than it was. All of these pieces seem like they, like, do a pretty specific thing. Like, Bergie is maybe a little bit fatty. Ledger Shredder is, like, purely there for card selection, but I think that's good enough. Eternal Witness is, like, mostly value, but also, like, a backup win con if we need to lightning bolt a table to death. Yeah, there are ways that that Dozen goes wrong. Like, there's still ways that, like, we cast Dozen and it's uncounterable, but in response, like, they kill our onboard Kiki Jiki and then I have nothing left to do or something like that. So, like, in situations where I've, like, tried to save a bit of mana by playing out certain pieces first, like, Dozen totally blows us out, which, you know, doesn't feel good. With blue for Hermit Druid and counterspells, Dozen might not really be necessary. Yeah, I think that's probably... I think it's probably the most sensible cut, because as we have already discussed, Vexing Shusher is going to help us not die to other stuff. I feel like I'm pretty happy with how this looks. So I think that we're gonna call it here. I would normally, like, go through and do a couple of, like, test rounds with this, but I need to, like, I need to go eat breakfast. I haven't, like, eaten anything all day. It's already 4 o'clock. I honestly thought this would, like, be not quite as long, but here we have been for 2 hours hanging out and brewing this list. So I appreciate everyone hanging out with me all day today. If you are a Twitch subscriber, make sure you hit up the link that I'm about to drop in the chat here and go pick up one of these really awesome altar sleeves. These are absolutely free to our Twitch subs this month. Going out via altar sleeves. They'll send you a code at the end of the month if you just fill out your information through there. Altar Sleeves, super awesome sponsor. I appreciate them so much in helping out the channel. This goes out to you for free. You don't have to pay for the sleeve. You don't have to pay for shipping or fucking anything. They just send you a code and you get it for absolutely for free. So big shouts to Scoop for throwing out some gift subs. Big shouts to everybody from Alan's stream who's still hanging out with us. If you haven't hit the follow button yet, I'm real nice. I'm here every Wednesday and Saturday night playing cEDH and some other random times doing other stuff like this. So hit the follow button. I'll be back on Wednesday to play some more cEDH. I'll go ahead and take a quick look and see at who we're going to raid, but also some quick sponsor shout outs while we're doing this stuff and winding down here. Hit up our TCG player affiliate link that's right down below this screen here. Pick up any of the cards that if you like saw this brew and think it looks cool, definitely go hit up that link and tack it to your browser, buy some cool cards through there. Oh, I'm having a really hard time. Here we go. Hit up our Inked Gaming affiliate link. You can go pick up, you can't see the playmat that I'm using right now, but I got these really awesome random playmats if you want to hit up those. And hit up our Patreon if you want to get involved in our private Discord. We're just about to set up our Patreon community stream. I'm going to do that sometime this week, so I'm going to see me and some of the patrons hanging out here and playing some games on stream. And we'll catch you back here on Wednesday night where we're playing some cEDH. It's going to be a super fun time. So y'all, be good to yourselves, be good to your neighbors, and we'll catch you on Wednesday night. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, one of the best ways to support us is by leaving a comment and hitting that like and subscribe button. It's incredibly helpful and always appreciated. If you want to support the channel more directly, join our Patreon to catch episodes early, join our private Discord, and get some other awesome benefits. One final thank you to all of our patrons who make great content like this possible. And thank you for watching. Be good to yourself, everyone.